Now, a group of MPs have today launched an inquiry into so-called pop-up brothels, which are growing in popularity across the UK. It's where sex workers use rented properties for between one day and a few weeks before packing up and moving on. Many of the pop-up brothels are linked to organised crime gangs, with women being trafficked from Poland and Romania. Well, let's speak now to Cari Mitchell from the English collective of Prostitutes, who says women are being forced into this predicament. We're also joined by Inspector Dave Meredith from Newquay Police, whose force discovered 14 pop-up brothels in the seaside town over a 6-month period. Thank you both for coming in and speaking to us. So, Cari, first of all, why are these pop-up brothels increasing? Do we know?
Well, we think that it's that they are caused. I mean, the name pop-up brothel is a bit of a misnomer. You know, they're short-term lets, as you said, and they're caused by the police closing down longer-term premises where women have been working, in many cases, you know, stably. The premises are there and they've been stable premises for a while, but the police are raiding and closing premises using closure orders, or they're just coming round and saying, you know, if you don't close in a week's time, I should come back and prosecute. And that's happening very widely around the country. And this is forcing women to move to short-term lets in order to keep ahead of the police.
So this isn't about criminal gangs trafficking Eastern European women. This is about women who have for years worked in brothels and they've been closed down.
Well, there may be immigrant women who are working in short-term lets, but the trafficking initiatives are really based on fabricated figures. I mean, less than 6% of sex workers are trafficked, you know, are being forced to work. So people shouldn't worry so much. I mean, of course, if anybody is being forced to work in the sex industry or any other industry, they should be able to come forward and report it to the police. But that, again, is a problem, because then you fear you're going to be thrown out of your premises, or you're going to be deported if you're an immigrant woman, and that's a big fear for women, because most are mothers, and most are earning money to send home to families in other countries, as well as, of course, earning money in this country.
Well, let's get Inspector Meredith to pick up on those points. Do you want to respond to those points?
Yeah, good morning. So what I'd like to first clarify is that the police approach to dealing with pop-up brothels is very much victim-centred. It's not like perhaps what we would have done decades ago and arrested them and taken them away in handcuffs. When we do visit a pop-up brothel, it's very much a safeguarding approach to check on the welfare of the sex workers, to first of all check on their welfare and perhaps give them signposting advice to various welfare agencies, and secondly to intelligence gathered to try and find if they are victims of sex trafficking and modern slavery.
Well, can I just say that that's not, I mean, that's good. As long as women can come forward and report, and they know that they can come forward and report any force to the police without fear of deportation. That our experience is that the police are raiding widely around the country. We have had women coming to us recently, women from our group, who have been threatened by the police that if they don't close down, they're going to prosecute anybody who works in the premises, including somebody who reported a violent attack and burglary to the police. That's the only reason she came to the attention of the police. And then she was threatened with, first of all, with prosecution and then with deportation. Another woman who's come to us recently was working collectively with others. The police said she had to close down. They said that, that they were allowing underage clients in, but they have a very strict policy of not letting anybody who looks underage in. And the police evidence was they sat outside on a particular night and they had the evidence. But in fact, they didn't have any clients that night, on that night. So, you know, the police are not being, they're not being straightforward, and we think there's something else behind it. And it makes what they're doing. Well, we think they're probably getting money. They're probably getting money in order to do these trafficking raids. That's what we think.
So you think there's an incentive? Do you want to respond to that?
We think there's an incentive to do this, and they should be leaving women alone so that they can work together safely without fear of arrest. And that has to be why the way that the police go, and it's why we are pressing for decriminalisation.
Let's get a response to that.
Well, what I'd like to say, there's no sinister element to our approach with dealing with sex workers or pop-up brothels. As I said earlier, it's very much victim-centred, and certainly in Devon and Cornwall Police, our approach is to visit, I think is the best term, rather than to raid a pop-up brothel. And when we do visit, we've got a very caring and compassionate approach. We go along, most of our visits are planned and structured. And our overall intention when we go there is to safeguard and operate on a very, very compassionate and victim-centred approach. And like I said earlier, that includes signposting sex workers to various aid agencies and giving them every help we can, and to try and find out if they are subjects of modern slavery and sex trafficking. And as I said, we've moved on leaps and bounds in the last decades, and our overall approach is far removed from what it used to be, arrest and prosecution, and now it's compassion and welfare.
Thank you ever so much, both of you, for
Good.
coming in to talk to us. We're going to have to move on, but thank
Okay.
you so much
You're
for
welcome.
talking to us and for coming in.